honestly, I am absolutely stoked to be here, and in my view is something that was very inspiring to me over the years, but more so this year than all of them, you know. And got to thank Frank. God damn it.
Oh, yeah.
He's getting too much credit on these podcasts. I'm about to charge him. I'm gonna send him a bill.
Right.
No, he's been good to me too, but he connected us, man, and I appreciate that, Frank. And it's good to meet you. It's good to do the shop's badass.
Oh, I appreciate it. I love the shop. It's great.
It's like places like this in Oakland or these older cities like this, they feel like they have some soul into the wood, into the structure. You know what I mean? So
I mean, this company's like 130 years old.
Yeah.
You know, the guy owns the building, everything, and he loves doing this. He's 75 years old.
Yeah.
I just feel lucky that I got it.
Nice. So you live in Oakland out here?
I live in Oakland. I used to live in San Francisco,
mm-hmm.
and then I kind of moved out here with my girlfriend, who's now my wife. And I was kind of happy to get out of the city for a little bit.
How long ago were you in the city?
I was in the city for 20 years.
Damn.
Yeah,
so you saw some changes.
When I was like 23.
Okay.
And
where are you from originally?
Arizona.
Arizona.
For the most part. From Detroit.
Oh shit.
You know, born in South Carolina.
Damn, you've experienced it all. Yeah.
Been around a little bit.
Yeah, that's cool. Man, so what got you into bikes, man? I know it's probably a generic question, but I feel like it.
Well, I rode kind of crotch rockets when I was younger. Yeah. A little bit. It was kind of friends' bikes. I never really bought my own.
Yeah.
And then I moved out here, and I lived about a block away from Harley Davidson, the Dudley Perkins.
Okay.
Which is like
the one oldest, out there. Yeah.
Which is now gone, but
yeah.
And I walked by it every single day, and I said, I'm never going in there. And one day, about the second year I lived here, I walked in there, and then however long it takes to fill out the application and all that, I walked out of there with a soft tail.
Oh shit.
Yeah, in like 30 minutes. I knew if I walked into that place, it was going to happen. Buy a bike.
Yeah.
So.
What year was this?
This is 98.
98?
Yeah, 98.
Fuck, you got lucky then, right on that back end of the being able to get a bike that quick, you know?
Oh yeah, and it was on the floor. It was $13,000.
That was high end.
It was a standard Softail, so it didn't have a lot of stuff on it.
Yeah.
But I kind of tricked it out to this Night Train look before the Night Train came out. So I did something like that with it.
Yeah, I remember when the Night Train was on the market, it was kind of like all the rage. Everybody wanted that blacked out thing, but it seemed like a long gap between the Night Train models and, you know, like a DX Dyna, which was kind of the same thing.
Yeah. And
Harley going full powder coat on all the stuff. It seemed like they stuck around with the chrome for many more years after that, you know?
Yeah, they did. I bought that bike. I had it for about 2 years, and then I was walking to work and I looked in the window, and there was an FXDX sitting in the window. It was that first year, 2001.
Okay.
And it had
the T-Sport.
The first fairing, and everybody hated that fairing.
Yeah.
I mean, now everybody's got it on their bike, but everybody hated that fairing. And when I went in, it was on consignment.
Oh.
Some doctor had won it, and he never rode a motorcycle in his life. So Dudley's put on consignment for him. I bought it for $12,000 with 5 miles on it.
Damn.
And then they let me take it home. And then I was like, no, well, now I got 2 bikes. I got a soft tail and I got this. And my buddy had just bought a Triumph.
Okay.
And it was a little small for him, and he wasn't getting the experience he wanted out of it. So I was like, well, ride this a little bit. And then he bought that the next day.
So you bought your soft tail from me?
He bought my soft tail from me, my buddy.
So did you like feel more comfortable riding on the Dyna versus the soft tail? Or
well, we had taken a couple trips to Laughlin.
Okay.
That was kind of our gig, is, you know, ride down to Laughlin, do the Laughlin River Run.
Yeah.
And I went with my buddy Steve to the Laughlin Run, and one of the guys that was with us, just a badass rider from San Francisco, rode his whole life. I mean, when he gets on a bike, he looks like he belongs on a bike.
Nice.
His name's Carl. He was just greatest guy ever, but he could outride anybody I've ever seen in my life. You know, you could tell he's up in the streets of San Francisco doing wheelies all the time. And he just had this FXDX, and the way he was sitting on that thing, and I'm on my soft tail, my ass is hurting.
Yeah.
And he's just,
just cruising,
just crushing. And I was like, man, I want one of those. And then when I got back into the city, that's when I saw that bike. And I was like, all right, got my buddy to buy that bike. And then after that, a couple years went by, and another buddy who rode Ducatis in our group. So now we got my friend Steve, my two friends Steve's and me riding Harleys. And then our other friend Bill, who rode Ducatis, they were going to go to spring training, I think it was. And I saw this right when the Street Glide came out. And, I want to take my wife on a trip and whatnot.
It's like 06 or whatever?
Yeah, it was 06.
Yeah.
And so I saw this burgundy Street Glide. I was like, oh, I want that. And then I told Bill, I said, well, what? If you're going to go down to spring training in Arizona, just instead of riding your Ducati, just take my FXDX. And he rode it to spring training. By the time he got back, he was ready to buy it.
Nice.
And then he bought that off me. And then I went and bought the Street Glide, which was only 15 grand.
Okay.
That was super cheap too.
Yeah.
I mean, now that's half a bike now.
Yeah, it's crazy because my first Road Glide I bought new in 12, and it was 17,000 for a standard or whatever.
You could do it then.
Yeah.
Now I go in there, I was in there buying some brake fluid the other day. I'm just kind of fiddling through that thing. It's like 28 grand.
Yeah.
That's insane. So.
Yeah, it makes it hard to have a bike that costs that much and is possibly worth that much. It's hard to determine, right? Like whatever the market is, right? But then you're also easily going to put $10, $20, $30, $40,000 in it, depending on where you want it to be at,
These days, absolutely.
But so being here in the Bay Area in those, early 2000s, I mean, that's like prime time club culture, early days FXR culture of it being, in this world. I mean, did that cross your paths in any kind of ways with that kind of stuff? Or?
Oh yeah, I saw all those guys. Like I used to, before I even went into Harley Davidson, I was going into Frisco Chopper's shop.
Okay.
And those are a bunch of members, I believe, owned that at the time. And I just kind of liked hanging out. The whole thing is just like choppers. It wasn't like some stale Harley Davidson. It was a little
Put
grittier.
This in front of your mouth is a little bit better.
Yeah, it was a little grittier.
Yeah.
And so I kind of hung out a little bit. And that's kind of why I ended up buying the soft tail. I think it all kind of merged into one idea that this is what I want to do. But immediately, I forgot when I bought that soft tail, because I lived a block away, I got on it, rode it to my house, and dropped it immediately. Just dropped it right on the ground.
Shit.
In front of all my neighbors.
Fuck.
But so I rode for about a year, and I really didn't ride with anybody. I was just kind of learning to get this situation going.
Yeah.
So,
dude, riding, especially if you're in the city, riding there is tricky depending on where you're at in the city. Like those hills.
Oh yeah.
I've been riding for many years, and the first time I rode those hills, I'm like, yo, this is scary.
Yeah. It's a little weird.
You got to like send it almost to go up them. And if you're going down them, you got to hope that, your brakes are good. And, and if you can't touch the ground very well, it gets really hard to kind of hold yourself up on those spots, especially if you're feathering a clutch on a light, looking at the sky.
Just riding down Lombard Street on a street glide. That gets a little wavy.
Crazy.
Like, oh, God.
Yeah. So, I mean, the first time I rode through the city was on a big wheel bagger, and that shit was tough, and that was a long time ago though. But, just being out here, it's like you see that people that ride here normally, they end up being pretty damn good riders just from the traffic, the how much is going on that you got to be aware of, the road conditions, the terrain.
Lane splitting because the traffic's bad. You got to get used to that. That's why this thing's real thin.
So, tight.
I took some 34-inch bars. I think what's a standard 34 or something like that.
I think it's around 32 right now.
Well, 30. I cut 2.5 inches off of each end of that bike, so it can be real skinny.
Tight. Yeah.
Rip through the traffic. So
yeah. So when did you what was it like for you back in the day on like Chopper Dogs, and what kind of got you onto that thing?
Well, I think it was one of the times when we went down to the Laughlin River Run was the first time I knew who Jesse was.
Yeah.
And the first time I ever saw one of his bikes in person, I was like, whoa, that thing's bad. In fact, I took a picture of it sitting up on my
Oh,
box
hell
up
yeah.
there. I'll show it to you. And I was down, and then I just got on the Chopper Dogs thing, and there was kind of a free section a little bit.
Uh-huh.
And then it was like, it might have been $20 a month.
I think they said it was like $25 a month, I believe.
I think it was like 20, and and I didn't do it for a little bit because I was like, $20 a month for what?
Yeah.
You know? And I had just my duck, because I used to be an accountant.
Yeah.
For Shell Oil.
Okay.
And I really didn't know anything about welding or anything like that. And I wanted to put some of those big kind of T-bars on my bike, like 14-inch T-bars. And I didn't like any of the little gauge mounts or anything like that. So I took it to a welder. I said, what I want you to do is weld the gauges on the top of the handlebars and then weld the little light mount on the front.
Yeah.
And I think he charged me like $250 or
shit.
$300. So it was like $150 an hour.
Yeah.
Is what he charged me. It's like, God, I got to learn how to do this. So in Oakland, there's a place called the Crucible. They do welding classes, like kind of artsy fartsy stuff. They got glass blowing and welding and woodworking, and cool place.
Yeah.
Totally bitching. So I took a class, and then I was like, I can do this. And I wanted one of Jesse's bikes. So I just immediately ordered a frame from him and started ordering a bunch of parts, wheels and stuff like that. And back then it was kind of real hard to figure out what fits on what.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of us probably bought a lot more shit than we needed to. You know, when it comes to bolts and stuff like that. Oh, that should have been 3/4, not an inch. And,
yeah.
You know, and nobody was giving up the ghost. You know, so you all had, like, me and Brad, we all kind of built our bikes around the same time.
Yeah.
But none of us had anybody to ask. So we were kind of, you know, might be one or two guys who knew a little something about this or that.
Yeah.
And so we all kind of had to figure it out. And I think we all kind of figured it out together in like those first couple of years.
I think that might create a better bond that way, right?
Oh,
because if certain, you know, you've already put in the effort to go buy the starter, you know, kicking off the whole build and everything, and going through those motions of trying to figure out how to do this shit, and then knowing that someone else is doing it and going through the same thing, like it creates something different than, you know, I think what might be lacking nowadays from that world is like too many people jump online and they don't have a community, a real community, you know, and I don't know. I find like I'm one of those dudes that I think I've been preaching it too much, where I miss chat rooms because of the effort it took for people to be in it. It wasn't like a swipe up on your phone. You know, it wasn't like on your Facebook or a group chat in Instagram. It was like a place that you went to go be in a community, the same way you would go to a bar or go to a restaurant or go to your friend's house. You know what I mean?
It was just like that. And when I did it, you know, I'd already started riding to Laughlin with my friends and stuff. And I kind of kept them out of it a little bit because in a way it felt a little cheesy.
Okay.
And I didn't want to, come on, you know,
hey, come get on this website with me.
Get on this website for $20 a month with me, dude.
Yeah.
I was having a great time with it.
Yeah.
But I really didn't. I don't know. It just felt weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, at that time, it felt weird. So they had Jesse used to do the no love parties. And I joined right before the first one where the Chop Dogs were like really, like Buster, who works at Saddleman's now. He had a party at his house during that weekend of no love party. And I missed the first one. And it looked cool. Yeah. So the next year came around, and I mean, you know, these people like brother and sister. Yeah. You know, you talk to them for a year online, you know, and you've seen enough pictures of them. Immediately when you see them, you're like, love you. How you doing? And so that second year I went by myself, didn't tell any of my boys that I was going, and just had the best time ever. Yeah. And immediately when I got home, I said, guys, you got to go. Yeah, you got to get a part of this. This is the greatest thing I've ever done. So they all got on Chopper Dogs. And then they went with me the next year. We all rode down there. Had the best time ever. You know, the Frisco crew became kind of a thing on the whole Chopper Dogs, which is super fun. Yeah. You know, when everybody's stoked to see you and talk to you. And
so you were kind of more wanting to fill it all out before you really like started bringing some of your closer
Before
friends?
I gave my guys the, this is
legit,
the bomb.
yeah.
I need to go check it out.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
Make sure, because I don't want to, if you think you're walking into Comic-Con and,
Yeah.
you plan on going into a strip club or something like that, and you walk into Comic-Con, you're like, oh, I don't know about this.
Yeah. Getting to meet people in person as being you want to get their mannerisms, their demeanor. They might be kind of creepy or weird, but good at typing.
So I took a bullet
and
then went down there and checked it out. And then everybody came in. And then the first year that they went, 2 of my guys bought frames while they were there.
Oh, hell yeah.
They're like, oh yeah, we're going to be part of this. And
so how long did it take you to build that first one?
The first one took me 6 months.
6 months.
And it was because I was building it in I lived in this building. It had 8 units and it had a garage underneath it. So I couldn't really grind on anything during the day and stuff like that. I had to do it in little bursts. Pull the bike, pull all my tools out, pull the bike out, and do little parts of it so my neighbors wouldn't get pissed at me.
Oh, yeah.
And I probably could have done a little quicker, but it was fine.
And this was while you were still in San Francisco?
This is why I was in San Francisco, yeah.
What style did you end up going? What was the main?
I did kind of that high bar hopper thing. Your hands are way up in the air, kind of like the Death Dealer.
Okay,
that kind of bike.
Yeah, I've like I said, I think Jesse and West Coast Choppers, that whole thing moved people in different ways. Oh, yeah. Like between so many of the people that are kind of like the leaders of our parts and custom industry now, like Boosted Brad and Frank and guys like that, and James Carter out there doing his thing, making seats and shit. It's like a lot of these in the same way, like I was too young. I wouldn't say I was too young. I wasn't influenced by him through wanting to build. It was more he showed me like the custom paint and all that stuff was a thing, right? I worked in body shops. Nobody in the body shops was talking about custom paint. That was a job to them. They wanted to get out of that motherfucker as soon as they could. And then I'm watching Monster Garage and Motorcycle Mania, and you just see all this stuff taking place, and you're like, shit. It kind of peeled back the curtain to like a kind of a subculture within these trades. Yeah. So doing this whole thing pushed you to want to get into a fabrication style job. And
when it comes to that, my wife at the time had a seizure. And basically, if you have a seizure and you go to the hospital, they pretty much take your license away from you for 6 months to make sure that you're good.
Yeah.
Because they don't want you on the highway. So they kind of take you. And I was getting tired of shell. It was long hours. It was 7 days a week. It was 12 hours a day.
Yeah.
And the guy wasn't paying the cell phone bill, but you're getting phone calls 14 hours a day. And that's when there's no unlimited.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
When you get a phone
bill,
like
you got what, 400 minutes, Sprint PCS and stuff like that.
And you get a $600 phone bill every month.
Yeah.
I wasn't having fun with it anyway. I made a bunch of money, so I was good.
Yeah.
So I took a job at a home brewing place after I had finished building that bike and taking classes over there. I found this place that needed a welder to do little tiny just some MIG welding.
Yeah.
And they
making like brackets for the bats and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Making the frame so that you pour over the tins and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And it was $16 an hour. And the only reason I got hired is because when I sent my resume in, I had that CFL. And the guy said, the only reason I had you come down here is because I want to see that bike. I was like, cool.
All right. So I'm hired.
And I was having fun. With that. And then the head welder there broke his arm. And all I really knew how to do was MIG weld. I mean, I took a little bit of TIG at that school over there. And the guy said, hey, Steve can't come in. Do you think you can take over for his work? And all he did was stainless steel, welding collets to things. And, I don't know anything about stainless steel. So, and it was a 3-shift job.
Okay. For a brewing company?
Yeah, it was.
That's
They were
crazy.
making stuff all over the country. and all
Oh,
over
they were
the
making the
world.
shit for people to use.
Yeah, they're making all of it,
Oh,
like
okay.
all kits and everything. They were doing all.
They're probably responsible for this fucking brewery like
they
blow
were part
up.
of it.
Yeah,
It's still around. It's called Beer, and More Beer.
good name.
Yeah, I learned how to make good beer too.
Oh,
which is
that's cool.
And he said, "Can you take over for him? He's going to be gone for like a month and a half."
Oh, shit.
And I was like, "Yeah, of course I can."
Yeah, figure it out.
And so my shift was over, and then I sat there for the next 14 hours and learned how to TIG weld. And learned how to did it great for a while, and then eventually found a job in the city making kitchen hoods.
Yeah.
Big fancy ones, copper and stainless steel, and did that for a while.
So when they do stuff like that for kitchens and stuff, it's more more curated to fit like within.
Oh yeah, your parameters are 30.
Rather than trying to build buy the cabinets around the hood, you
it's kind of, it depends on what you want. Like,
okay.
Some rich people want some crazy hammered copper thing, with brass rivets all around it. Or you just get somebody who wants some clean stainless steel looking thing. So but they were expensive.
Yeah.
So I got to see a bunch of cool houses doing that. And then that place kind of fell out. And then I started working for another company making skylights.
Yeah. Did you
big skylights, like shopping malls and stuff
shit.
like that?
Yeah.
And during that, once I started working there, I started traveling because they made these things all over the world. They would send them all over the world. So, and I was kind of a single guy at the time. So they're like, "Do you want to go to Boston?"
Oh, shit.
Like, yeah. So I go to Boston for a week and build the skylight, send it out to Boston, and then follow it out there and then install it and do the whole thing. It's all really super high-end homes and stuff like that. And then I traveled for about 10 years.
Damn.
All over the world. From London to Russia.
Holy shit. Like that'd be a gig, huh?
Yeah, it was cool. When you're single, it's great.
Yeah.
And you can just get on a plane and take off and then just go live there for a week. Get a nice.
Do you get to have like any kind of time there?
Yeah, I mean, during the day you're kind of working.
Yeah, you're grinding.
But
away.
In the evenings it was cool. A couple years ago, I put a skylight on the Crown Plaza in New York City, and I got to stay at the Crown Plaza for a month.
Goddamn.
In December. So I got New York Christmas.
Yeah.
Got to watch that whole thing. New York during Christmas time is.
I think that's where you feel Christmas because
it is. It was amazing. I took a bunch of great pictures, and I just every day at the end of the day, these guys all lived in Brooklyn or way out in Staten Island and stuff. So they'd always leave the job by 2, 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
So I'd go up to my room, change my clothes, put a backpack on, and then looked up every pizza place, the best pizza in New York City.
Yeah.
Get on the subway and then just go in one direction or another.
Yeah, you can explore there.
I was there for a month.
Yeah.
Got to eat wherever I wanted to. Did the whole thing. I still didn't see a tenth of anything.
Yeah, it's crazy how concentrated it is, and you could take years to like really unfold that city. You know what I mean?
Well, San Francisco's kind of the same.
It is. Yeah.
You get into your own little box and you do kind of the same thing. But if you wanted to check out everything, it would take you forever.
Well, that's me and my wife were talking about that on the way in. It's like, I love that aspect about if you're living in the city, like proper, where it's kind of like you have everything you need within like a couple of blocks, a convenience store, whatever it is, laundry, blah, 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 depending on how you're living. But it's like when you get in the suburbs, it's like you have what you need. The convenience of it is now in like a 10-mile radius.
Oh yeah.
Where you have to have a car, you have to have all these things. And which, don't get me wrong, I love having a car and all that shit. But it's like, I think that the mileage that they expect these cars to last is based on if you live and work within a 2-mile radius of your job.
Right.
You live 10, 20 miles away from your job. Like you're putting 1,000 miles in your car in 2 years. Easy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I didn't own a car for 8 years.
For real?
When I moved here. I didn't really leave the city all that much. When I did, somebody had a car. I'd go with them or whatever. But I rode my bicycle for 8 years.
Damn.
In the city, no car. And I was perfectly fine with that.
Yeah. I feel like having a bike or even a little moped would be the shit. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Just kind of do that around. But yeah, that's a different experience, man. Like, so did did you still kind of dabble in photography at all, or were you kind
No,
of?
I was done.
Okay.
You know, I made when I was younger. I thought I was going to be good at photography, and then I think it was when I was 21, maybe even 20. This couple who were also young like me, you know, very young couple getting married. They were like 20, 21. They didn't have a lot of money.
Yeah.
So I said I'd do their pictures for them. And I was totally stoked. I went and, you know, went to the venue, found areas I thought were going to be cool. And I did their pictures and I got them in the mail because I had them developed.
Yeah.
Got them or CVS or wherever it
Yeah.
was. I had them done. And my camera had taken a shit and the shutter opened halfway.
Okay.
On every picture.
So you just got half a picture on each one.
The pictures were beautiful, but it was only half of it.
Yeah.
Because it was black and then this fantastic picture of half of this guy's family.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was so devastated.
Yeah.
Luckily, there's a bunch of people there who took pictures and I had 2 guys with me.
Okay.
But the main good quality family pictures and stuff like that were all cut in half. But luckily, grandma was standing next to me. So they didn't really lose out on anything.
Yeah.
But it was devastating.
Yeah. And that's that film day, man. Like you don't know until you get them back.
You don't get to look.
Yeah. So there's a place for digital for sure. I
get that now. Trust me.
Yeah.
I might still be doing it if it was.
I brought 2 film cameras on this trip and we've been kind of using that to take pictures in certain areas, but dude, I don't know if they're going to come out good, you know, like, so having the digital, like shooting your bike today, it's like, that's guaranteed.
Oh yeah.
But shooting a little bit with the film here and there, it's got a look and a vibe. And it's kind of like, you're capturing something that you can't control after you hit that button.
Yeah.
And to me, there's something kind of, something that I appreciate about that, no matter how good or bad the photo comes out. When it's a decent photo, you're like, fuck, you're more happy that you nailed something, right?
Yeah,
versus if it's an amazing photo, you're like, wow, like this, I can't believe I actually got that. But most of them come out like, could have moved over a foot this way or,
right. Backed it up a little bit.
Yeah, something, right?
Put a different lens on it. Blah, blah.
No, I would have thought like, I don't know, I guess being in all these places, like would that never really push you to want to like shoot more? Or
it just didn't do it. I think it was not too long after that I saw them in a restaurant. They were like behind me and I was at the counter getting ready to eat or whatever. And I saw them and I walked out.
Oh,
I was
shit.
so,
yeah.
Oh no. It's like, I can't even look at these people ever again.
That's crazy. Yeah.
But they probably didn't even care and they probably don't care now.
Yeah.
You know?
But it's a testament to like your, you know, what you felt like you were there to provide and feel like you dropped the ball. It's devastating for anybody that has that kind of.
I wasn't prepared for that at that time. So, but it's cool. My whole goal was just to make sure I was not in jail.
Yeah.
And I had a good job and I was paying for my own way. That was my only aspect of it that mattered to me. So.
For sure. So how many like West Coast Chopper-esque bikes did you kind of dabble in like before you stepped up to this one over here?
I built mine and probably helped my 2 buddies. Their bikes are badass.
Mm-hmm.
And there's probably 2 more.
Okay.
That I was in on welding, getting
different stuff
set up for people. Mostly is the welding because nobody knew how to weld except for me.
Well, I feel like TIG welders and maybe MIGs were a little more available, but nowadays it feels like you can get TIG welders for, these inverters for nothing, right?
Yeah.
Back in the day, like finding somebody had a TIG welder, it's like walking in. It's like I associate it like imagine being a kid that your buddy just got an Atari, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's going over his house and to check that out versus, so-and-so just got a new Miller TIG, Dynasty. We got to go to his house and like fuck with it all weekend. And I'm bringing shit over so he can try to get it welded up for me. Like I would imagine being something like that,
My buddy Steve was kind of like that with
For
it.
real?
He loved like the plasma cutter. He's just like, I was so enthralled by the plasma cutter that you could cut an inch piece of steel.
Oh yeah.
But he always stayed back from it because he was like, oh, it's so much fire. But he was
like to watch it. Yeah.
Yeah. But he dug it. And I love just the fact that by the time they were building their bikes though, a guy in Denmark offered me a ton of money for my CFL. And I was like, absolutely. So I put it in a big box and had a friend drive my truck to Texas to one of the ports because that guy knew a shipping company on one of the ships, and he put on a big ship and sent it over to Denmark.
Yeah.
Because at that time, and I don't know how it is now, but at that time, like buying a bike like a CFL or something was about twice as cheap as buying a new Harley because the import costs of a brand new Harley in Denmark was like, it would cost you almost $100,000
wow
to get just a standard Harley into Denmark. At least that's what I was told.
Yeah.
But I don't care. He bought it for twice what twice what it cost me to build. So I was just like, sweet, here you go.
That's cool.
And I've heard somebody cool has it over there now. The guy won't tell me who it is, but somebody had bought it from the first guy sold it to another guy, and I kind of kept in touch with him. And I recently asked him because I hadn't seen it on his page or anything. He said, "What's up with the bike?" He's like, "I had to sell it." I was like, he was kind of like apologizing for it. And I'm like, dude, that's life, man. It's not like I built it for you with your name on it. I mean, don't worry about it. But the guy who bought it has seen pictures of it when I had it, and he's going to put it back to what that was.
Well, I feel like having a bike out there, I mean, that's got to be pretty badass to like know that this bike that you built, the way you built it, pulling it out, one, kind of like Johnny Cash, one part at a time, kind of thing. And now it's, residing over there in Europe and, still on the road, which is another testament, right?
Yeah, I think it was 2000. I finished that in 2004, 4 or 5, I think it was. And I think I sold it to him in like 6 or something.
Damn. So, still running around.
I wish I still had it, but at the same time, I know I'd look at it, it's like, that was a crappy weld there. That was this. The wiring looks like shit. You left the brake line, looks terrible.
That's part of that first one, though, man.
Yeah.
Well, so there's nothing really like that anymore as far as getting West Coast Choppers parts. I mean, he stopped doing the whole build it yourself shit. And,
I mean, and if he gets, I don't know if he gets mad. I don't even know if he cares.
Yeah.
If guys are, biting off his stuff that he used to make, but he doesn't make them anymore, and everybody wants that look. So
how is it any different than any car, manufacturer that stopped making products in the aftermarket had to step up and make those pieces?
Yeah.
So,
and I mean, Jesse could probably make a killing if he set some guy over at the, laser cutting machine.
Yeah.
And just made all those parts, and he never even looked over in the corner at them.
Yeah. Yeah.
He'd make a ton of money. But,
But then I guess the wonder might be if those parts started being made again, would they still hold the value that they currently are holding?
I doubt it.
Yeah.
I doubt it because the prices people are paying for this stuff is amazing. Yeah. Saw $6,500 frame the other day. It's $6,500.
That's crazy.
I couldn't build one today. Mm-hmm. Just out of my own, there's no way I'm letting somebody rip me off for that much.
Yeah. You're kind of like the guy that used to buy C10s for like $200.
Yeah.
And now that they're, the same one is going for 20 grand, and it still has to be restored. You're like, I'm not fucking doing that. Same thing. You got to experience it in an era where, obviously it's never going to happen again, but it's the same thing with like FXRs. Like some people got to build FXRs when you can find them on the corner for nothing or, and they go up and down. Like one day FXRs are literally like everybody thinks they're sitting on gold. So it's like $20,000. And the next day you can find them all day long for $3 grand, $2,500,
Sure. And then you've got, when people complain about how expensive some of these FXRs are, and the guys are like, man, I wouldn't pay more than $5 grand for that bike. And it's like, well, I know what you're going to do to it. And this guy already did it.
Yeah.
So you're trying to get him for what he's already done to it.
Yeah.
And then you're giving the guy attitude about it too. It's like, the guy probably has 30 grand into that bike.
Yeah.
And he's asking 20 and you're giving him the business.
Yeah.
It's like, and you probably would have put 40 into it now because he got those parts a little bit cheaper.
Yeah.
When they weren't all the rage. So.
Yeah. It's a strange one, man. I have a hard time like understanding what it is people expect, like the FXR scene expects people to be like, as if there's some kind of unwritten rule of thumb that, you know, this is frowned upon, this is not frowned upon, this, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to really play that game, if you will. And I feel like, you know, if I built my bike with the intention of selling it, then, and I did all that work, and you can have somebody else build one like that, but you can't buy that.
Yeah.
So if I went out there and said, I want 80 grand for this bike, which, trust me, I'm not going to, but you know, like, then that's my business. And I didn't, you know, I feel like can't be mad at people because they're, you know, trying to make a living on motorcycles. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. It's like, well, people give that guy Elvis.
Oh yeah.
The business. I've known him since the first time I ever walked into Deli Perkins. He used to be a service guy.
Oh, he was?
Yeah. A long time ago.
Nice.
He's a young man. And, but he was still into them then, you know, and his parts aren't any more expensive than anybody. I mean, they're expensive for what they are.
Yeah.
In my opinions, because I don't know why I would want to put, you know, something from 1989, pay a ton of money for it.
Yeah.
But that's still, that piece is the same price as you're going to buy from Bunking or somebody like that for, you know, the front end, you know, guard.
Well, I feel like, you know, my buddy FXR Mike said this a long time ago. He goes, you can't be mad at people because they went out and found the deals, and now you don't have to go find it. It's right here. And now you're going to pay the surcharge for that.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. Like, you got people that are out there knocking on doors, trying to see what's in that barn and whatever they can find. And those guys are the guys that are doing something that none of us want to do.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I wish I could do it. I don't have it's not my nature to be that way, you know, like sweet talk someone in to let me find out what they got and try to Jew them down on their parts or prices or bikes or whatever. But, you know, somebody comes across like good deals on stuff, and they, you know, what Elvis did, how he found like this whole lot that he got. Like, I mean, if you wanted it, he had it. And so, you know, like, there was that.
I've been to his place.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's got everything in there.
Yeah.
I mean, if you need it, he's got it. And if you want to build a street, it's like, you can't go build a Chevelle and get a bunch of cheap parts for an old Chevelle.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to store that back to where it was, you're going to pay for it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the same thing in my opinion, that, you know, people give a little attitude, but
I mean, one thing I would say that I think is pretty awesome about kind of the FXR world is they would, you know, sometimes people would have extra parts they're not going to use, and they see someone that's going to need it and they donate it to their builds. I've seen that happen a lot. I've had it happen to me. And I think that that's just like a testament to, like, if I feel like the person that I'm helping out is doing it because they truly, they're into it. Like, you know, I feel more inclined to want to help them with that kind of stuff versus if I felt like they were just building the bike to sell it, which again, that's on them. They can do whatever they want with it. But if someone's building that bike, like there was a young kid out there trying to build a bike, and he was at my bike night or coming to our campouts or something, and I could just see his enthusiasm. I would definitely be, hey man, I got some side covers if you want them, you know, or whatever the case. Sorry, I've been dealing with a cough the last couple of days. It's probably herpes. I don't know.
The vid. It's got the vid.
Yeah. So if y'all hear my candy in my mouth, my bad. But or you smell the menthol. But man, like, I guess, you know, for everybody listening, like I remember the first time I saw a picture of this bike, it was probably 2017. And my buddy FXR Mike again kind of showed it to me, because he was showing me that in 2017 I went to Ace Cafe, the little bike show they did in Daytona Beach, and a lot of FXR guys there, and there was a couple of FXR choppers, and I had never seen that before, you know. And I was on my gold FXR that I had customized and rode out there, and there were these two white ones. I think there's some HA guys from out there or something like that, if I do remember correctly or not. It's been a while, but I was like, that looks cool. Like, I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
It seemed right. It seemed like the stance of a chopper that I dug, because, you know, I come from that world as well, that the more or less the West Coast choppers, the TV chopper era, if you will. That's where I started custom painting at, right? So I'm used to seeing these bikes. And so there's certain stances that just kind of like,
Yeah, I wasn't. I mean, I wouldn't say I was totally. I wasn't really into FXRs all that much. My buddy Mike was. In fact, he's one of the first few guys who put a twin cam in a.
Oh, for real?
And I wouldn't say the first, but he was. We were also in that realm of nobody's giving up the ghost.
Okay.
I learned how to put twin cam in this thing, and I ain't telling your ass how to do it.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was right in that area, so he did a lot of research, and we figured out how to put a twin cam in his bike. And when I was building this, I wanted shocks, and I've seen one. I had seen, in fact, Elvis used to have this one with the same frame.
Yeah,
it was an orange one. It was went a little more subdued.
Yeah,
Had a little kind of a Sportster kind of tank on it that was elongated. It was a great looking bike. It was super clean, and I was like, that's kind of what I want to build.
Yeah,
and so I went down, bought the frame.
And you started with a Chopper's Guide frame, right?
Yeah, it's a Chopper Guy's frame. And I went into where they were building them, and people kept telling me they're not building them anymore. So I went in there and talked to Mike, who was the bigwig over there.
Yeah,
and he didn't really want to build it. He was like, I was like, come on, and he was like, all right, come back in a couple of weeks. Got kind of angry, not angry, but he just kind of rough about it. I was like, okay, cool. Just handed him a bunch of money. Came back, and it was beautiful. I mean, it was a beautiful frame. It was brand. I mean, it was still warm when I went and picked it up. It was
like a pie.
It was sparkling, and it wasn't supposed to look like this. But it just kind of ended up that way.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna do more of a standard tank on it. I wanted that look of an FXR, but I just wanted it up a little bit higher, a little bit skinnier. Because they look kind of flat when they're sitting. I want see a little bit underneath the tank.
Yeah, open it up, air it out a little bit.
Kind of give it that West Coast chopper look to it, because that's just the best look as far as I'm concerned.
It is. To chime in on that, it was I remember the day that I brought my frame back and I made it a roller. All I could think of was like El Diablo vibes. You know what I mean? It just had that stance of like tall, but and a little bit sucked in, like not too raked out.
Yeah,
but mean and ready to go. You know what I mean? And I don't know that I think that like I said in my little blog I had wrote about it was your bike and then another bike that Al Emerson was building out of he's out of Sioux Falls area. And they're more known for the D-rake style up there in that, in that kind of area. So his is more like comes out and back and it's really tough.
Just real in. Yeah.
And I fucking love it, man. I just love the whole look and it's different. And that picture though, that picture of this was, I don't know, like, man, I think that picture's on Pinterest, like everywhere. And
I've seen it a few times. Every once in a while I see it. Like,
I mean, if you type in FXR Chopper, it's like the first thing that comes up. And I don't know. I mean, I feel like a picture can sell something so like, and that's one of the reasons I love photography is because that look, I mean, you had the T-Sport style fairing on it at the time.
Yeah.
And, just the helmet and the look and it screamed like tough guy FXR Chopper is what it looked, you know what I mean? But it also screamed purpose built.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like everything is here. This is all, it's like, it looks cool to me, but it's also got all the shit that I want because of what I'm doing on it.
Yeah. And
the rest of you guys can fuck off because this is how it's going to be. You know what I mean? It's like it was your own box.
That was right up the street. Cause I also used to own a bar.
Okay.
I owned a bar for 7 years.
How was that? I want one.
No, you don't. No, you don't. Stay on that side. Of the fence. It's just, I mean, it's as long as you're not drinking your product.
Yeah, yeah. Don't get high on your own supply.
Which I was. I wasn't a bad drunk or anything like that, but I could drink.
Yeah.
I was a professional drinker.
Yeah.
And I drank for 32 years.
For real?
From 12 to 15, sneaking a beer here and there.
Yeah.
To, get into college full time. And then you become a doorman and they're sipping your drinks and then you're you do that, and then you become a bartender, and then you own your own bar. I was a professional drinker.
Damn.
And then a couple years ago, I just said, it was a good career.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're cold turkey now?
For 3 years. Oh,
that's awesome, man.
And I miss it every once in a while. And I'm gonna have a drink again one day.
Yeah.
But I want to hold on to this for a little bit.
So would you say you're quit? You kind of like stepped away from it from just a personal choice of like just
I felt like I wasn't getting anything done anymore.
Okay.
And I was still working and having a good time, going to I was traveling a lot. You go out there and you go to, let's go check out a bar in Boston. Let's go. In fact, when I went to Boston, I was there for a week. And right below the house I was putting the skylight on was Cheers.
Oh, that bar?
The original one.
Oh, shit.
The little tiny bar. I don't know if you've ever seen it or it's just a little dive. And I drank at Cheers every single day. The whole time I was there. It was pretty cool.
For that reason, that's romanticized reason why I want to drink places.
Oh yeah.
Me
too.
It's things like that. Like I love dive bars. That's my shit. But we don't have as many of them in Dallas. It's kind of, we're in the Bible Belt. So bars are kind of like they're like a little, they're on the seedy side of town. You know what I mean?
Sure.
As opposed to when you go up north, my listeners are probably tired of me talking about this, but as soon as you get into those blue collar towns, your Kansas City, St. Louis, Milwaukee, Chicago, like the bars are part of the communities.
Yeah.
Same way it is in Boston. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just like that. And I feel like, I don't know. I'd probably drink as much, if not a little more, but maybe not. Instead of going and getting fucked up, I'm like, I'm gonna go have a beer or two.
Sure.
And then go back upstairs. It's kind of like to take the edge off kind of thing, right?
Oh yeah. I guess I got to a point where I was just like, I'm gonna get loaded.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I just decided, and then you wouldn't get anything done.
Yeah.
So I wanted to have a little more focus. So
that makes sense.
I'm enjoying my sobriety.
So what was like a bar here in
I owned
Oakland?
a dive bar in San Francisco.
Oh shit.
It was down by the ballpark. It was kind of a seedy, I wouldn't say seedy part of town, but it was an up and coming part of town.
Oh, about to be gentrified.
It's called the Dog Patch.
Okay.
And my bar it was called the Retox Lounge. And it was a super dive bar. And we had 2 levels, so upstairs, downstairs, and downstairs we would do punk bands.
Oh, hell yeah.
So in those 7 years, I think my brother figured it out. We had like 300 bands go through there. Just crappy bands.
Yeah. What year was this?
This was 2007 to 2000.
I bet Scott played in some of these bands.
Could be. It was
because he was doing it up here in the because he's out of Santa Cruz.
No, you could. It's easily possible they came through my dumpy place. But it was fun. I had a great time. It was awesome. In fact, I had a house around the corner, so I could crawl home or crawl there if I needed to.
Yeah.
And then my other job was down the street. So if I didn't sleep on the couch in the bar and walk to work, I was that close to do everything.
Okay.
So
the convenience might be a little bit too.
Yeah. I think it was tough. You get off work at 2:00 in the morning with half a heat on, and then pass out on the couch, and then get up 3 hours later and walk to work and weld all day.
Yeah.
So
I can see that. I always think about like owning a bar. I don't think about the aspect of like, I just assume I'm going to somehow be able to afford to not have to be there till 2 a.m.
Yeah. It's not possible because everybody steals from you.
Oh yeah.
It's just not everybody. I had some really great employees, but to sit at the end of your own bar and watch a cashier put money in their pocket.
Yeah.
And you just like, I don't even know what to say to this person.
Yeah.
That they're doing this right in front of me. And you just gotta come here.
Yeah.
And you gotta go. They're like, what? You know exactly what.
Yeah.
You know? It's like, you give all your friends drinks. You're taking money out of my register. I mean, you're stealing in so many different ways.
Yeah.
You just got to go. And I didn't want to deal with that anymore.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you just sold the bar or?
Yeah, I sold it. And once I sold the bar, that's what I know my timeline's moving around here a little bit, but I sold the bar. I had the frame already, and I sold the bar, had a bunch of cash, and was called up Jason Hallman. I was like, I need a motor, I need a transmission,
Nice.
I need this. Called Frank, I need this. Called Brad, I need this, and just everything just all came at once. I built it probably 3 months.
Shit.
And just whipped it out real quick.
So basically, you went to the Chopper Guy's frame, right?
Chopper Guy's frame.
And so they were based out up here in the Bay Area?
They're in Vallejo.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you're able to kind of like give them some specs, even though I don't think they make the FXR frame anymore, do they?
I don't even know if they're making any frames.
Okay. Yeah.
It's always been kind of, in the last couple of years, it's always been kind of a mystery. Like, are they making them? Are they not? But,
every once in a while you see them on Marketplace on Facebook and stuff for sale. Yeah.
But I haven't seen on any of the pages or anything of anybody like, look what I got.
I just got one. Yeah.
So that's suspect that
for me, going the path that we went on my build, that would have been so much easier to start with a tubular frame like that in the whole neck area.
Oh yeah.
Versus what my Corey from Main Drive had to do to kind of peel back all those layers and kind of like slug certain areas to find a way to make it look natural, if you will.
Yeah. It's tough.
But then again, like doing it with a stock frame makes it feel like
a
little cool. I don't know.
I see both aspects of it.
Yeah, same.
Like a great idea.
Yeah. So I remember talking with you, and you were kind of saying that like 2012, you got this thing done. You did the shakedown run on it.
Yeah.
And that's where that picture, the famous picture, was taken of it. And that was also like you were getting ready to go to Born Free. Is that what it was?
Yeah, it was that. I think it was the next weekend after that.
Okay.
I rode it around every single day. I get off of work. The engine's brand new. So I would just ride it around the Bay Area.
Mm-hmm.
I would, leave San Francisco. I'd ride down to San Jose and then come around the Bay through Oakland and go up Marin and all that, and then come back down to the city just so I could get some miles on it. Because I knew those guys were going to make me run it all the way down to LA. So I wanted to get some break-in miles on it. So I just rode it every day, 100 miles, just kept riding it. And then, it's been a great bike.
Now it was awesome that, like, first off, I didn't know when that photo was taken. So when you told me it was 2012, I was like, fuck.
Yeah,
that was a while. And then then you still had it. I was like, oh hell yeah. And I also thought it was dope, like for you to be taking it to something like Born Free. You know what I mean?
And I wanted more people because the dynos were pretty big.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the FXRs were like really huge at that point.
Yeah.
But everybody was tricking out their dynos. So there's a ton of that. I wanted to get that thing on like the floor.
Yeah, yeah.
But we just rolled in on, afternoon on Saturday. So, it was all kind of blocked off.
Yeah. And that was probably 12. So you're thinking that's probably like when they were still doing it in like the block party style?
No, it was out in the country.
Oh, it was in the Silverado Canyon already?
It was out there. But it was so hot.
Oh, yeah.
It was like 110 degrees. And,
yeah.
My buddies and I it was so hot going down there. It was just that, that summer 2012, I know there's somebody who knows. It was so hot. It was like 130 degrees in Mesquite. And my buddy Bill and I, we were going to ride to Colorado after Born Free. And we're just going to ride straight there.
Damn.
Then we heard it was 130 degrees in Mesquite. And because that's the way we were going to go. I was like, man, I got hardly any miles on this thing. I don't want to ride this thing.
Yeah, through that
130-degree weather. First time I've really built this thing. I was like, let's go home first and I'll go get the Street Glide.
Yeah.
And we got on the Street Glide and this rode 80 all the way across.
Yeah.
The next day we came home on a Sunday, and that night went to sleep and then got up before the sun next morning and then rode 900 miles to Salt Lake City.
Okay.
And God, that was one of the longest rides I've ever done. After going to Born Free the whole weekend and then riding in 100-degree weather on 80 for
And have you always had that just pan for a seat on it?
That's just, it's that Jesse kind of style.
Yeah, yeah.
I made that same seat myself.
Mm-hmm.
I learned how to tool and
Okay.
I'd stitch it all. And it looked pretty good, but it was still just not pro. So I called James and I was like, I'm going to send you the seat and I want you to make it look just like it looks, but like a professional did it.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what he brought back to me. I like the way it looks. It's a little different.
Yeah.
I probably could have put a regular seat on it, but I just wanted that kind of.
I feel like when you take the chopper, the seat's got to be as low profile as possible to kind of complete that swoop. Because if you put a big like Saddleman or something like that on there,
funky.
It's just the proportions get off, if you will,
That's kind of why, because I made it kind of look like my idea behind it was to make it look like a Badlander seat.
Mm-hmm.
Those little skinny. Yeah. That's how I wanted that to look, is that kind of shape of a Badlander, but with just the leather on it.
Bro, like that's taking it all. I mean, even though you got rear suspension, that's still taking it all. Yeah.
But I built it. I sat on it 1,000 times, just going, "Where's this going to hit?" Because I rode my CFL from LA once.
Yeah,
and I almost gave myself a new asshole. I mean, I had a scab on the back of my ass.
Yeah,
for weeks and weeks after that, because it hurt so bad just riding that thing home. And that's when I decided, I'm not
going to deal with it.
I need some suspension. So that's what I came up with.
Well, it literally is probably the best of both worlds. I mean, I imagine you feel exactly how I feel on mine. I feel like the coolest fucking dude on the road.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And don't get me wrong, like after 400, 500, 600 miles on a day, like even with suspension and a couple inches of cushion, my ass is hurting. But if I get off for about 30 minutes,
that's cool.
I'm like, get back on, like, oh hell yeah, this is this again. Then not that I'm doing 400-mile stretches, but it's like over time, it just, you can kind of stack up those miles on it and whatnot.
Yeah, we the 5 guys that I ride with, who were just great riders, ride through traffic great. I mean, you don't even really have to talk or give signals. Or you can just kind of watch what your friends are doing. Yeah. You just, we ride 400 or 500 miles a day, and there's stop at some podunk town and drink all their booze, get up in the morning, go do it again. We had this kind of little route we used to do where we go to Las Vegas and then go out to the canyon out in Page, Arizona. I forget what that's called. It's kind of famous. The Red Rock kind of.
Antelope Canyon or Page. Then you got,
God, what is that canyon out there?
Grand Canyon, Antelope Canyon.
Well, Grand Canyon we always stop in. And then it's the one that's right at the edge of Utah.
Like Monument Valley?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was out there. So we ride through there and then come down, go back through Vegas again, and then go to LA and then go to the Rainbow Room. I don't know if you know about the Rainbow Room.
No, I've heard about it. What is it?
It's the greatest rock bar that's ever existed. Some people would dispute that, but you'd always see like those.
Where was the Rainbow Room at?
It was on Sunset Boulevard.
Okay, that's what I remember.
Up
then,
the street from the Whiskey.
Okay.
And that's where everybody hung out. Lemmy used to sit there and play poker at the poker machine. And then Judd Nelson would walk by and you're like, whoa. You see Ron Perlman sitting in there. And that was during his
Hellboy days or whatever.
It was during his Sons of Anarchy
days. Okay.
And what's his name? What's that porn star's name? That dirty porn star.
Chick or dude?
Jenna
Jameson?
No, the dude, the creepy.
Oh, Ron Jeremy?
Ron Jeremy.
Yeah.
So we hung out with Ron Jeremy once there.
Oh, fuck.
He's a goofball, man. That guy's weird. We got Kat Von D kicked out of our seats.
For real?
Because we kind of knew the bartenders there a little bit. And she walked in with her crew and she got waved out of her seats. Oh, nope, those are these guys. It was kind of funny seeing Kat.
Yeah.
But
So is that, you said you didn't know if the Rainbow Room was still around? Or
it's still around.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, the Rainbow Room's still around for sure.
Yeah, that vibe, that whole scene would be pretty gnarly to be a part of, but I have no way to even dip my toe to understand how to even fit into that.
You know what? The best way to do it is not fit in.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
give
just
any effort. We walked in there and just acted like kings the whole time, and everybody's okay. And plus, we tip.
Okay, yeah, that helps.
That helps a lot.
No, that'd be great. So you had this whole run that you guys would do, and just that sounds
every
rad.
year we would do it. It's like maybe we go to Laughlin. We stopped going to Laughlin after the shooting.
Yeah.
Because we were there that year that happened.
Uh-huh.
We rolled in right after the gunshots and all that stuff, and it was a terrible vibe for the next 2 years. That year was terrible because the cops were everywhere.
Yeah.
And then the next year, the cops kind of subdued the whole thing because they didn't want that happening ever again.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of stopped going to that one.
Mm-hmm.
And we spent most of our time in Vegas, out on the road, or Los Angeles.
Yeah, fuck. I feel like Havasu probably has better partying than than Laughlin does.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, that'd be a setup, man. Like just doing that big loop like that, just like riding the eastern slope.
Oh yeah.
Of California, which I've done most of it, but I haven't done like through the Alabama hills and all that shit yet. Which
there's a nice strip that just runs down that whole Arizona, California border.
Okay,
it's just this red top that just has this loop to it. It's like riding a roller coaster, and the easy part of it, and you're just like, yeah, this is awesome. In fact, my bike, one year, I was riding the Dyna. My buddy Steve, my two buddy Steves with me, and my coil on my Dyna took a shit. And we were 30 miles out of Laughlin on a Sunday after a rally.
Fuck.
It's like, where am I going to find a coil? So I was like, all right, guys, hang out. So I took Steve's bike all the way back into Laughlin and then found a coil, and this guy just had this big pile of parts. I was like, I'm looking for a coil. And he's like, oh, go back there. And then this big pile of parts, and I looked through it and I found this coil. And it was like for some Screaming Eagle thing, but it had the right plug to put on the Dyna. I was like, all right, took it back, plugged it in, everything worked, got everybody a Gatorade, and then we got out of there.
Hell yeah.
It was awesome.
That's cool when those kind of things happen. I mean, like I said, the first podcast on this trip was with the dude who helped me. I met him through this thing, but we had a wiring issue on mine in the middle of New Mexico. And he kind of like saw the Instagram message, came pick me up. Turns out this dude is rad as hell. Big FXR guy, but even played in rock bands. Used to hang out with Lemmy because he used to open for Motorhead or whatever. It was Motorhead, right?
Yeah.
All this crazy shit, and now he's like working in the movie sets out in Albuquerque.
Oh, they do that a lot out there.
Yeah,
taxes or whatever.
Yeah, taxes, and there's incentives, and after COVID, it kind of made things harder here for them to get stuff done. So their studios like kind of popping up all over the country, from what I'm understanding.
Yeah.
Georgia has big studios, and then even Texas has some good ones now.
One of my friends does the one in Georgia.
Yeah,
she's there in Atlanta.
So, yeah, just talking with him, this dude like came and picked me up off the side of the road. We got back to his house. His old lady went and got us all hamburgers, and we drank beer, and he gave me some parts that he had off one of his bikes. And it was just the most amazing experience, to where I am glad that it broke down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
And that's weird to say, but you couldn't have wrote a better story than that situation. You know what I mean?
Added to the situation. Completely.
Yeah. So, the last 10 years now with this bike on the road, like what's just, we were kind of talking about that a while ago with like you had this other FXR over here off the camera. Like, what's the plan? Like, what's the inspiration on that one?
Well, this actually belonged to my friend Steve Reisman. Unfortunately, 2 years ago, he got hit.
Oh shit.
And he was heading to Guns N' Roses, and he was by himself, and somebody pushed him to where he had nowhere to go. And I think I don't know the full details, but he went into the back of somebody, and that was pretty much it. It was and he was kind of the glue with us. I can't talk enough about this guy, because he kind of kept us all together in a certain, we would all stuck together.
Yeah.
He was the guy who was gung ho for anything. He'd go, hey, we're going to go here, and we're going to party here, and we're going to go here. I already got the hotel rooms. Already got this. He already had it mapped out. He already had like a tom in his little tank bag. So he always kind of knew where we were going. And he just kind of kept us all together. And when he died, I had I was kind of responsible for selling a CFL and selling this. And when it occurred to me that I've ridden more miles next to that bike than I've ridden by myself. I mean, that's for 20 years I rode with him, you know, and my other friends as well. So I decided to keep it. I bought it from his estate, and because I was gonna chopper it out for him, put a little duck fender on the back, you know, put a little sporty tank on it. I mean, I want to ride it, you know, because I want to ride it, but there's a couple themes. You know, he was a huge Van Halen fan, you know, and what he was gonna do is he was gonna do the whole Frankenstrat. You know, look to I can't do that.
That's busy.
Yeah, that was busy. But for what he was gonna do to it, it made sense. You know, and he just wanted a little chopper FXR.
Yeah.
But I bought it, and my wife really can't ride on this thing. You know, it's just a pain.
Yeah.
So I kind of bought that for us to ride on. She doesn't know that totally yet. I mean, she does know. I've told her I'm fixing it.
Yeah.
But that's why I'm building it, so I can take my wife on trips.
No, that's
so
cool.
I needed something a little more comfortable, but I didn't want to buy a big bagger. I'm going to put some really cool bags on it. And I don't want anybody to see those yet, just because I haven't seen anybody do this. So I'm going to keep that one.
Keep it on the wraps.
Keep that on the low for now. Will anybody care? Doubt it. But it's the thought that I've had in my head, which I was going to do to this one, but never got around to it. So I'm finishing the idea onto this bike.
Well, I think it's cool to build bikes for like for that, you know, you kind of keeping your buddy's bike and keeping it within the friends group and things. And like having bikes that are more sentimental, more like there's more purpose behind, like it's more inward, like why I want this bike versus outward. Like I want the world to see me with this bike or whatever, you know, like not saying that that's bad on the other way, but I feel like you get a deeper connection to these motorcycles when you have like more like true or more honest connections to it, like why you want to build it or what's motivating you to do this or whatnot.
Well, that's kind of why I kept this too. Is, you know, eventually I'm gonna try to build it fast. You know, I want it to look cool, but I can't have it sitting on a bench for a year. You know, dropping 20 grand into it or anything. I just want to be able to ride it and put whatever paint job I'm going to put on it, and then put it on his page so everybody knows
it's still there, still
in the family. And
we don't need much. I mean, paint, figure out your tank situation. You get some wiring hanging down, but other than that, like
all that stuff that was in the the headlight before. But I'm just going to rewire it with that simple
the moto
unit or whatever. I forget
moto gadget.
So hopefully that'll work out.
I was always scared of wiring bikes until, you know, once again, Corey from Main Drive kind of showed me how to do the chopper wiring kit. The, you know, 6-7 wire situation.
That's that thing.
Bro, like I want to do that on everything now. Just get rid of all the bullshit.
Oh, I know.
You know?
I'm going to put turn signals on it.
Yeah.
Just because I was like, you know what? And the only reason I'm actually going to do that, I probably wouldn't have done it at all. But with that unit, you know, it simplifies all that stuff. So you don't have to wire in a little crappy, you know,
resistors and stuff.
So I'm like, all right, if it's that easy, then I'll do it.
Yeah.
But if it wasn't going to be that easy, then I was just going to run it raw like this dog.
Well, the funny thing was, like, I was thinking that the more simplistic the wiring is, the less likely I'll have wiring issues. And lo and behold, I have wiring issues on the road. And it was a rectifier. So what ended up breaking was the terminals inside the rectifier plug.
Okay.
Because mine is from a newer twin cam. It's like a 2015.
Oh, okay.
So it plugs into the rectifier instead of the rectifier having wires coming out.
Oh, okay.
So, and the plug's like that fucking big. So in a tight bend, and then you ride all the time, and then it ends up breaking the terminals inside the plug. So you don't know where the fuck this problem is.
Yeah, why is this doing this?
Yeah, and 1 minute it's charging, and next minute it's not, because then it'll touch and then it'll disconnect. So it was, like I said, wouldn't change it.
I did it on this thing. I couldn't figure out why the thing why it wouldn't start. What's going on here? And then I found the ground.
Oh.
that was just had snipped off the thing and just wouldn't start the bike. And I was
Fuck.
like, oh, God.
Simplistics,
Spent
man.
an hour and a half figuring this shit out. But
No, what year is this one?
this is 91.
Good year.
Yeah, so it doesn't have all the old weird transmission stuff on it. That looks weird.
Apparently the 90s had bad cases that were breaking a lot over the years.
I've heard that.
So
this thing's got 70,000 miles on it. Maybe a little less.
it's got an Evo, man. It's a 100,000 mile motor. Isn't that what they used to sell?
So I'm gonna run it until I break it. Then I'll put something in it, I think. Or if I won one of Frankie's motors, I always put $50 in that. It's like,
oh, Frankie Vidal's thing.
Yeah, I could use a new 124-inch motor to put in this thing.
Fuck. That'd be insane around here. Your wife would love that.
Well, this thing's 124-inch and totally unnecessary.
Yeah. I bet that's super
especially
light
the way I
on there.
ride. I'm sure somebody would go, "This is great." Me, I'm like, "This is nuts." I mean, it pulls that wheel pretty good.
I like how you did the exhaust too, like that whole, even like the welding on like the flanges. That way you have a bolt-on exhaust like that. Like seeing it now in person versus that real blurry picture that I'm in love with still.
That's actually different. This is actually different from that.
It is
that
okay.
Pair of pipes. The reason I put that bend in it is because I wanted that pipe to be a little bit longer in the back.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to do my best to try to
like
get them
flow it out,
get them the right length, and that's what I came up with.
Well, it looks cool, and it that whole tracker style, that was one of the things I was kind of debating on exhaust wise when I was building mine.
Yeah,
and I've honestly never had a bike with a tracker style exhaust, so I was just thinking of heat on my ass and where I like to put my feet on the back pegs,
sure,
and those kind of things. So I kept it more traditional, 2-into-1, going low and sweeping up. But there's a look to that just fucking looks sick.
Yeah, it's kind of a thing now. I don't think I designed it or anything. There's been plenty before me, but I see a lot of them out there now. You know, Brad's kind of got his going on like that.
Yeah,
his looks great. There's doing that little shorty thing. I've got a couple Thunderheaders at my house that I've shortened up that kind of have that same look. I was gonna put it on here, which is where it was gonna go when I was doing Riser's bike, but I want to put bags on this, so that's gonna be a little tough to do a high pipe on it. But it'll look cool eventually.
Nice.
Yeah. A beautiful man. Steve Reisner. Nobody forget him.
Oh, that's cool, man.
Yeah.
That's cool that you're keeping it alive, man. I got another buddy, Hans. He's out of Montrose. He kind of did the same thing. A close buddy of his passed away, and he had always talked about building this FXR, so he kind of finished the build, and that's what he's kind of been riding on. And it's a beautiful bike, man. It really is. Cool. And his story, and those are the kind of things I think that, like, I found myself like really connected to those, because those people that build those bikes, you get really special bikes out of those. I hate to say tragedies, if you will. It sucks. I mean, obviously everybody would rather have the person, but at least art comes out of it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
something badass.
Yeah, that's tough losing people like that.
Yeah.
It
is
what it is, man.
Yeah.
I guess.
Well, how's we were talking earlier, so you said there's still kind of like has anybody in the group ever tried to like just start another group thing, or is it kind of like one of those things that's passed, so it doesn't really have the?
You mean the Chopper Dogs thing? Yeah. There's I think there's a couple out there right now which are pretty cool. This guy Olaf runs one. I mean, he's a fanatic about the stuff. He's got every picture, and I mean, he's just totally into it.
Yeah,
his is probably, in my opinion, his is the best, because it's got a good group of old Chopper Dogs, but it's also got the new guys.
Okay.
Who, some guys who had a frame for 15 years. And they want some information, or just the guys who've always wanted one or now trying to build it. We've been able to help a lot of those.
Oh, that's rad.
So there's a good mix there. We tried to kind of do the Chopper. I think once that website went down, when Jesse just finally stopped, it changed the whole dynamic of how we all interacted.
Okay.
Just because, I mean, the last one he did, the last No Love that he did, I don't want to sound braggadocious or anything like that, but I kind of forced him to do it.
Yeah.
Because we were on there, and I said, well, the Frisco boys are going to Los Angeles on this weekend.
Yeah.
And this is when we're going. Does
Yeah.
anybody else want to go? Whether he does the no love or not. And that turned out to be probably the best one.
For real.
Because he gave a bunch of stuff away. He gave one of my friends got a bike. Another guy got a full roller, like Dominator roller. In fact, that's Panhead Freak. He was a huge chopper dog. Unfortunately, he passed recently. And his wife's keeping his, their store alive. It's
that's cool.
Black Magic Customs.
Where are they out of?
They're out of Illinois.
Okay.
I think Chicago area or Sandwich or something like that.
Okay.
That's where they're at.
That's cool.
And he was a great guy too. And, he's a little older, and I guess he just passed out on his couch one day at his shop and
didn't wake up.
Kind of tragic.
Probably, yeah. Probably better way to go out, I guess, if you will. He's in his shop hanging out.
But I know he was in a lot of pain too, because he was a Marine. I don't know what happened in his life or anything like that, but I know he had like back pain and stuff like that. So he's always one of those guys who was in constant pain, but still had a great attitude every time I saw him.
That's cool.
Good people.
Yeah, I wonder how like that dynamic would be, because I feel like the chat kind of thing, or like the, not chat, but like it's like a thread, and then there's this kind of flowing conversation within the thread, right?
Yeah.
Versus like groups, like Facebook groups is kind of what killed the online chat rooms.
Oh, 100%.
But then the Facebook group thing is kind of different, where it's hard to find all the comments. It's hard to stay in, like they start kind of bracketing all over the place, and you kind of get lost in like what was said recently, because someone's replying. There's a comment thread here and a comment thread there. It's hard to follow.
Yeah. It's definitely not and there's the anonymity of the thing. I mean, you can say whatever. You could say the dickiest thing you ever wanted, and nobody will ever know you.
Yeah.
When it came to the chat, you kind of had a responsibility to be an adult.
Yeah.
And really think about what you had to say, because people knew who you were. Now these people are all over the world, and they're just say some snotty comment about one thing and another, and it just kind of, to me, it just kind of takes the enjoyment out of it a little bit, because it just muddles the whole idea of what you're doing.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it makes 100%. It's like it's almost like if you don't have some kind of gatekeeping kind of thing going on, and you try to make it inclusive and let everybody in, then, and there's no like you just said, there's no like vibe that they have to uphold. There's no like demeanor that, you know what I mean? Like, you don't want to be an asshole because you intend to hopefully go do some kind of party or some kind of event, or, you might need these help, or it's like, they're not really there for the friendship or the camaraderie that come. It's just,
they're there to rant with, you got a couple beers in you and you just go, that bike sucks, or that guy sucks, this guy's terrible. And it's like, if you did that back in the day on the chat, you get chastised pretty good.
Yeah.
But I never even, there'd be a couple guys out there who were just weird, and I kind of ignored that part of it, because I was just there to have a good time.
Yeah.
I make a good quip.
Yeah. I miss those days. And I wish there was a way to kind of bring some wholesomeness back to it, if you will. And there could be some out there, and I'm kind of like glossing over or generalizing the whole concept, but because I found myself, like, I grew up in that chat room era as well, and I miss that. And when I try to like be like, I want to be more social in a room or in a scene, and then you just go sift through the ones that I'm already a part of, and I'm like, fuck, I don't want to be a part of that shit.
That's why I'm a kind of double-edged sword in a way, where, when I first started building this FXR, I was getting a lot of attitude about it because it wasn't an FXR. On the FXR pages, they were kind of giving me the business about, that's not an FXR.
Yeah.
It's like, well, come on, bro.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a ton of people, but when, like you said, when that photo came out, I got a lot. It's like, oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool to
get
that part of it.
At the same time, like, I mean, here we are sitting here 12 years later, after that photo was taken. And, you know, it's still resonating to at least me, you know, and people that I'm kind of using whatever platforms I have to kind of like, hey man, this photo right here, this bike right here, this dude right here, this took place while you guys were in elementary school.
Yeah.
And
totally.
it's still fucking cool. And, you know, some dude that was trying to be the FXR, you know, fucking, you know, police, if you will. Nobody remembers those bikes. Nobody remembers that guy that made that bike look cherry from factory.
It doesn't, you know, yeah. It doesn't,
you know,
it's like, yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah.
Great.
Good so it looks like it did when it was new.
I think the funnest part of owning that bike, other than riding it, is when I do have a conversation with somebody, or I'm selling somebody a part, or I'm asking somebody a question, and they go, oh, "What do you ride?" And then I'll you know, hit send, and oh, you have that bike? I didn't know that was your bike. In fact,
everybody knows it.
The CFL, Steve CFL, it sat in my garage for about a year.
Mm-hmm.
It was real hard to put out there as far as trying to get rid of, you know, how much do you sell it for? And then, you know, people can have a problem with the story.
Yeah.
Do you want, you know, do you want to own a dead guy's bike? You know, it's like, do I want, you know, how do I explain that? So I had real trouble with it. And then this guy was looking for one. He was from Oregon. And I had shown him a picture of this, and he was looking at the CFL. We kind of agreed to a price, and he turned out to be just salt of the earth kind of dude. And we were, and I knew I wanted to sell it to him because everybody else who had asked me about it, you know, they asked dumb questions, and it's like, I felt like if I didn't give this bike to the right person, that it could just disappear. Weird. Yeah. So this guy named Jeff Maddox, he lives up in Oregon, I believe it is. He drove down the minute we agreed on it. He said, I'll be there, blah, blah, blah. So he got in his truck with his wife, got a trailer, and drove down here. He was down here in like 12 hours after we had finished talking about it. He handed me a bunch of money. We hugged it out. We rode around the block a little bit. And then now I probably talk to him on the phone more than I talk to anybody.
Damn.
Because we just talk about bikes, and, you know, he just got a Dyna, and he's already like one of my best friends.
Yeah.
You know, because I talk to him every day. I show him pictures of the new one I'm doing. I'm like, this is what I'm going to do. What do you think of this? And it's just nice I got to give it to somebody who wanted it and loves it.
Yeah, that's important, man. And I think that his energy and his enthusiasm is probably what's making you more reluctant, or not reluctant, but more willing to have those conversations and get more open and involved with this guy.
Oh yeah.
You know, because, you know, enthusiasm is what kind of, I don't know, like if you're an old head in this thing, like somebody else's younger enthusiasm, as long as it's like along the lines of what maybe you need, I think it can motivate you quite a bit. You know what I mean?
This actually did, you know, selling him that bike, becoming his friend, made me start the new bike. And then we talked the other day. It's like, I think I can make it to Born Free. I was like, okay. I was like, well, I could probably get this done by then.
Yeah.
And then I just got to call the other guys and be like, we're going to Los Angeles and you're coming, God damn it. So I'm going to get everybody together and try to figure out how to get to Born Free.
Well, if everything works out well with my plans for this summer, then I'll be coming down from Oregon through here on the way to Born Free the Gold FXR. Yeah.
So, well, then we definitely have to stay in touch. You have to stay, and maybe you can ride down with Jeff.
Yeah.
You know? And then you can come through here, grab us, and then we'll keep going.
Yeah, it'd be rad to ride next to that one.
That would be awesome.
Oh, you're going to ride this one probably, huh?
Well, you know what? Like I said, it depends on if I run out of money, then I'll ride that. You know, which I haven't rid this in a long trip in a long time. So
yeah,
one of them will go.
Yeah, I'm doing, you know, like I said, I'm kind of keeping on wraps for a lot, but it's just a lot of me. The only thing I've been telling everybody that may or may not be a part of my travels is like, I'm stopping for photography a lot. There's a grander goal at hand that I have to be focused on. I can't just, I want to be at the bar and I want to do that, but I got to make sure that I get the work done before I go to the bar.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So, But yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, I think it'd be rad just doing it, period. Like, whichever bike you get done, the stories are going to be super cool.
Every one of them. I mean, one year we thought it was smart to, in April, to ride to Canada.
Oh, shit.
Because because we were used to going down to LA in about April.
It's not bad. Maybe get some rain.
It's
maybe
great. Rains 1 or 2 days. It rained the whole time.
Rain.
Yeah, we got over the Shasta Mountain and we were all, you're wiping snow.
Yep.
Because you can't see anything. It's freezing cold.
Yeah.
But it was still one of the best trips we ever did. Even though we're soaking wet the whole time. We had a friend in Canada. He used to be you ever heard of Lupo the Butcher? It was a cartoon.
No.
How about Ed, and Eddie?
Yeah. I remember that one.
He's the guy who came up with Ed, and Eddie.
Oh, okay.
So we went to his house and stayed in Canada at his house in Vancouver, and it rained the whole damn time. And when we left, it was great. And then about halfway through the trip on the first day, it started to pour, and then it just poured.
Never stopped. Did you just take the 5 all the way up or what?
Took the 5 all the way up. We've got a bunch of videos on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, great videos with great music. I'll have to show you one of them later.
Oh, that'd be cool.
And some good lane splitting videos too.
Fuck. Those do well on the internet, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I gotta figure out a lot of stuff for this year, but I think it'd be cool to see, especially if he's gonna ride the old CFL down. Is that his plan?
He's probably gonna ride his dyno.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, at least he's coming. Like the friendship's been created,
He just won a dyno.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, like on a raffle. Everybody's doing all those raffles. I don't know if he's seen the bike yet, but I think it's on his way to his house.
Oh, that's cool. Do you know which guy you won it from?
No, I don't see that part of the Instagram and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm terrible at Instagram.
Yeah.
I mean, I can get on there and kind of navigate it a little bit, but I never really put my teeth in it.
Yeah,
or anything.
I hear you.
I mean, if you go to I have an Instagram page and there's one picture of this bike by the Golden Gate Bridge. And that's the only thing I've ever.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because I feel like the way Instagram has become, I think Facebook has there's an opportunity for Facebook to kind of fill the void that Instagram has created with like actual connection, but it would have to be, it's almost like you need a purge of Facebook to get rid of a lot of the fucking assholes first.
Jesus.
That way that's why I feel like maybe a group that you really curate who's allowed in.
Yeah.
And everybody that's involved, like, makes a conscious effort to be involved in it. That's the other hard part.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's a shit show, man. But no, I'm like I said, man, I'm really stoked that we were able to connect and, with Frank and this and see the bike and hear the story and stuff like that. And,
oh yeah.
And there's so many people within this like Chopper Dogs thing that I think that the reason I've been very interested in hearing from everybody, I mean, yours is like this bike and the fact that you're with that, but I think that like what you guys shared in that time frame and the way that most of you are still connected is something that, like, I think that's, I don't know what the right word to say. It's like, I just think it's cool as shit,
Oh yeah. I love just building. I mean, every part on this bike I bought from a friend.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I had James make the seat. I bought all the stuff from Frank. I got stuff from Brad.
Yep.
Every single piece of this is from somebody else.
Yeah.
Because I enjoy, when people go, where'd you get this? Where'd you get that? It's all, this is my friend Brad who did this. This is my friend Frank who did this. This is my friend James who makes great seats. This friend, my friend Jason, who always finds me a motor when I need it and gets it to me quickly.
Well, it's the way you say their names too. It's like, because I didn't know Brad from Brad. I knew Brad is Boosted Brad.
Yeah, sure.
So it's like you just kind of, it's just like that layer of connection to these people that are kind of like, maybe before there was a brand attached to who they were, Yeah. So, but that's rad.
I'm proud to be friends with these guys. Man.
Yeah.
And I'll tell anybody at any moment, it's like, I know that guy.
Yeah.
I love
one of the coolest things ever. The first time I did a podcast with Brad, and we didn't really talk about Chopper Dogs much because I don't know that I knew to ask about it, as much as I was kind of leaning into his painting and all the builds and stuff. But I stayed with him and his wife at their house that night. And one of the coolest things ever was how enthusiastic they were about talking about the old no love parties they would go to. And they brought out these boxes of like pictures.
Oh, really cool. You got to go through. Yeah, I'm sure I'm in a ton of those.
I mean, I couldn't really tell you like all the what I was looking at. You know what I mean? It's been like 5 years almost, but just the whole thing was, to me, that's the cool shit. That's what one of the things I love about photography is it's a connection of it. And it's a different way. It's not like, hey, scroll on my page so far back.
Yeah.
And find those cool pictures. Like, like, hey man, there's this cool story and I'm going to show you right now instead of, hold on, man. Hold on. It's here. I promise. You know?
I should really put this in a file.
Yeah.
And just going through.
But it was cool to, see that and to listen to them tell me more stories about some of the people that I do know, like James Carter and everybody's connection to Jesse James. And it's kind of crazy because I think a lot of us in the motorcycle world have some kind of connection to him, not personal, but like inspired by or influenced by or whatever.
Yeah,
but
you can't deny
it's almost like sometimes like I wonder, like, man, like I give him a little bit of credit, like, hey, that's a lot of that's a lot for any one man to kind of maintain. But then again, I'm like, dude, like if you can create a lot of cool shit for people, man, maybe you should do some more of that shit. Maybe you should curate something else like that in a way. Like, I don't know.
I think he's still got his, I mean, in reality, look how much money that guy made people.
Yeah.
I mean, they're probably,
he helped the whole industry be created.
And this is not disparaging to anybody, Brad might not be making all these parts.
Yeah.
All the other guys who make Jesse James parts now, they might not have money from that. I mean, there's plenty of people who are employed because that guy existed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how many guys are making tanks for guys who are building CFLs?
Yeah.
The
old exhausted, people were remaking those things and
exactly.
There's
just so much of it out there. You can't deny it at all. As much as people want to say about the guy, I mean, I still think he's he was an ass at certain aspects of things, but he's always cool to me. But yeah, he created a culture.
Yeah.
He created pretty much my whole friends group.
Yeah.
And, the people I trust all came because I knew of him.
Yeah.
So it's
wild, man. It's heavy.
It keeps getting talked about,
Yeah.
It was a huge part of my life and I don't mind talking about it ever. So, it's a good time. I'm going to rebuild another guy's CFL here pretty soon.
Yeah.
He's a chopper dog. And he wrecked his bike about 10 years ago. Broke his leg.
Oh, fuck.
The whole thing. I mean, the fender's pushed in, the wheels pushed in. I think the frame's straight. But so I'm going to bring that over here. I'm going to put that Solace tank on it and just freshen it up.
Yeah.
Give it a new look.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Well, man, I really appreciate doing this.
Oh, this is great.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah.
I love talking about this bike and, especially my friends.
Yeah. Trust me, they'll all watch it and listen and everything. They're like I said, they tune in, especially Frank and Jason, Cody, all those guys. So
good people.
But I really appreciate you, like, because I didn't know if I really wanted to try to do this podcast now or when I was coming back in the summer. And it just made sense to do it now. We're going to be passing right through here. So,
sure.
Short notice. Thank you for pulling out the carpet for us to knock it out. So,
absolutely. I'm glad you got to see my shop. I love showing off this shop.
Dude, this shop is rad.
This is the greatest job I've ever had.
Yeah.
It's like coming in here on the weekends. I do my own thing. Nobody bothers me.
Yeah.
Boss is always super cool about everything.
Yeah, you can't beat that, man.
No, you can't.
All right. Well, hey, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Man, thanks.